The Foothill Gold Line from Pasadena to Azusa broke ground in June 2010 and will be substantially complete in late September 2015, when it will begin pre-revenue service. 6 new stations have been built as part of this phase of the line. Each provides a unique experience through the work of public artists. Artists were selected by the respective station city to create artwork that represents the community, its history, and culture. Over the past few years, the artists have been hard at work in their studios and with their fabrication partners, bringing their initial concepts to fruition, as well as overseeing installation of their artwork at the stations. In this video, we'll visit Irwindale station artist Robin Brailsford as she completes preparations and installation of her art pieces at the Irwindale station.
This platform is actually 270 feet long. Conceptually, it's a real challenge to come up with something that interacts with every square foot of such a vast space, not to mention times 2 of the other platform. Researching the history of Irwindale, I found that the 2 really major things that were here was, one, the actual location of where the San Gabriel River comes down out of the mountains and flows right through here and creates the Garden of Rock. So one of the forms I came up with was sort of an alluvial fan, a water kind of a form, and that's in blue. And if you changed the color of it only to green, it alluded to a family tree. I spent several years doing R&D on how to create basically like a decal in ceramics, where the tiles are glued with a water-based glue onto a piece of mesh that is then placed onto the surface of the concrete, troweled in, and the mesh comes off and the glue releases. And that way the artist is working in the comfort of their own studio and the concrete crews can do their good work. Okay, so these are 3 pavers on the green or family tree side of the platform. This particular one has really fabulous sort of dichroic gold that goes off when you're in the sun, and so that's certainly a part of these, is that when you move around them, the light is going to be very different. There's also a lithocrete, or a very active background color, which is the aggregates that are sprinkled together. And on this side, I was going for sort of like a deep red purpley color. I wanted it to look celebratory and sort of joyous, and that's where the sort of confetti background came from. Because Irwindale had such an interesting story, I really felt that it literally needed to be told. The most challenging aspect of composing the Irwindale song is that I don't really consider myself a writer. I spent a lot of time looking for somebody else to write it, but when it really got down to the reality of it, they didn't have the understanding of the place that I did, and it had to be written by me. The story of the Irwindale families basically is that there were about 5 families who lived all over the LA basin. Every place they settled, once the land became valuable, they were kicked out because they were of Mexican descent, until they finally ended up here, which was considered to be a worthless piece of land. It was just rocks, water, and jackrabbits. But lo and behold, California came up all the way around them. And the things that they had, water and gravel, actually turned out to be 2 of the most valuable materials in Southern California. So the town actually became quite wealthy. Sort of a rags to riches story. There's still lots of quarry activity. I'm seeing beer trucks go by, I'm seeing concrete trucks go by. It's actively an industrial center. And the people who live here, a lot of them are relatives of the original 5 founding families. So I did 2 things in the text. One, I wrote a story of Irwindale and that history, and the other is that I got a list from the library in Irwindale of all the families who lived here when the city was 100 years old. And I took all of the surnames and most of the maiden names and included them in a linear design that goes on the railings leading up to the platforms. Even though there were a lot of the Hispanic names that one might expect, there were other names from all over the world, which tells us, of course, that we're in America, that we're in California, that there was the gold rush. The most lithomosaics are at the far end of the platform, not where the public enters and exits, to encourage exploration of the whole platform. So the idea is that it's sort of like a Hansel and Gretel, trail of breadcrumbs, where it starts off with a few and then it gets more and more till you get all the way down the end. That has a lot of benefits. It loads the train. Equally, it allows people to have something to do wherever they are in the platform. It's not just like one thing. In this particular platform, the view is so fantastic from the far end too that I really wanted to emphasize that. I do a lot of transit projects. And one of the things that I like about transit, besides the social, environmental aspects of it, is I like the idea that the audience is on the move. So I like entertaining them while they're actually on the train. So the diagonal lines on the platform, as the train is coming into the station on this side, the dark color will be wide at the end and will get narrower and narrower and narrower and come to a point when you get to the end of the platform. One of the things I try to do actually in my public art projects too is I try to make them work for a person who's only here once, and to make them work for somebody who's coming every single day for 20 years. So that's the other thing that's great about the song, is basically going to be at eye level of the people sitting on the train. So as they come in, they're waiting for people to load, they're going to be able to read and probably have a better understanding of who is here and why they're getting on and off. Maybe create dialogue between people on the train.
The Foothill Gold Line from Pasadena to Azusa is part of the expanding system of rail lines funded by LA County's Measure R. The Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority is responsible for the line's planning, design, and construction. The Construction Authority will be substantially complete with construction in late September 2015, when the agency turns the line over to LA Metro for pre-revenue service. Metro anticipates starting passenger service in 2016. For more information on the Foothill Gold Line, or to view other videos about the project, visit www.foothillgoldline.org.